All right. So here we go. Let's start talking about memory models and encoding. Part of this will be an activity that's done in class, but the other stuff is good information to share. Okay. So the three parts of memory that we're going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks: encoding, storage, and retrieval. Encoding is how do we take in information. Storage is where does it go? Where do we keep it? And then retrieval, how do we get it from there back out to be able to use it? So multi-store model, okay, we've got our incoming information, usually is going to be presented to us through our senses: smell, touch, sight, hearing, taste, etc. Anything that we don't want or are not paying attention to gets lost, right? Our brain's able to kind of funnel through that and make sense of what we need and what we don't, and what we don't need or that is not being attended to is gone. Things we're paying attention to then makes its way into short-term memory. With rehearsal, it'll stay in short-term memory. It's like remembering a phone number, right, where you kind of rehearse it over and over and over again. Unrehearsed information subsequently, like before, is lost. Okay, if you rehearse it enough, put it into practice, remember it, attach it to some other meaning, it will be encoded, and that time it'll go into long-term memory, where you'll be able to hold on to it for a greater duration of time. And then if you retrieve it, if you bring it back to working memory and you work with it, and then you encode it again, and then you retrieve it, meaning you bring it back out and you use the information for a test, and then you bring it back for your exam, and then you bring it back for a discussion, and then you go to college and then you use it again. The more times you bring it back, the stronger it becomes. Okay. If you take something into long-term memory and you don't use it, it'll eventually be lost there over time as well. But the storage time is much greater. Okay. So when we think of working memory, all right, or short-term memory, kind of the same idea. Think of it as having a central executive, somebody that is kind of making the decisions. And you've got your phonological loop there. In your phonological loop, you're thinking of words and music and rehearsal and so on. So you've got your articulatory loop. That is, again, just like reciting a phone number over and over and over again. You've got your acoustic store, which is more melodies and sounds and songs. So if you ever get a song stuck in your head that you can't get rid of, you sing it to yourself. That's what we're talking about. We've got an episodic buffer. That's dealing with your experiences, the episodes of your life. What are you doing? What are you getting yourself into? All that kind of stuff. And then your visuospatial sketch pad. That's your creativity. That's if you're a sketch noter. Do you draw it out? All that kind of stuff. What do you create that way? Those are ways of keeping things in short-term memory to be able to be rehearsed and eventually coded into long-term memory. Many of these are really good because they connect with previously understood information, experiences, and new ways of thinking or analyzing, which are known ways to be able to build really strong memories, things that we can bring back and use. So here's some more information about working memory. Okay, we can remember roughly about 7 bits of information at a given time. Okay, and think about some things that are put into those types of small units: credit card numbers, social security numbers, phone numbers, addresses, and on and on and on. Okay. So there's a reason why those things exist in the way that they do, because people understand how our memories work. So they put things in into context in which we can use them, right? So that's real world application. Without rehearsal, we're talking usually a couple seconds. Okay. With rehearsal, it could obviously be longer in working memory. You have iconic and econic memory, right? So what do you see versus what do you hear that you're able to remember? Herman Ebbinghaus, another famous psychologist, would refer to ideas of cramming, especially for things like exams. Those who learn quickly often forget quickly. Meaning, if you're going to try to memorize everything the night before or the period before an exam, your decay is going to be much faster than if you learn slowly, methodically over a period of time. So chunking, this is a method to kind of improve memory store. Okay, so these are some of the methods that we will work on in class. Some of you already have, some of you will later. So the primacy or recency effect, we remember better information at the beginning and the end of a sequence, right? So grocery list. Maintenance rehearsal, repeating information over and over and over again so that we don't forget it. Chunking, taking large groups of information and separating that large group out into smaller chunks so that we can remember it a little bit more simply. Okay. We also have mnemonic devices, PAO, and you can look at these links on your own. Person, action, object. Being able to assign, as we were talking about before, assign some of those actions, assign some of those, people, places, and so on to different bits of information helps you store them better. So method of loci, same idea as this time you're using, or it can also be called a memory palace. You're using a location to put stuff in, put information in so that you can easily find it. Okay, and again, we did an example with that one. Okay, acronyms. Okay, easy to spell things out, words that are easily remembered, and then the first letter of them will house, or the letters within them will house information. Okay, elaborative rehearsal. Okay, relating previously known or related material to new stimuli. So this time you're analyzing it, you're making connections between the new stuff you're learning, the old stuff, or something else you may know really well, and you're essentially storing it in that same place. Okay, and here is the start of, again, an activity that we would have done in class where we're identifying sometimes related, sometimes unrelated words with images. We'll go back through and quiz everybody on it. But we can do that in class together. All right, there we go.